Alright, hey guys, and welcome to a new video. It's been 2 months since I've owned the Sony A7C2, and in this video I want to talk about my experience and how I've been faring with it. So as you may or may not know, I recently came back from a trip to Europe. I went to Europe and went to 8 different countries: Croatia, Slovenia, Macedonia, and Italy, and a few other countries as well. And one of my main cameras was the Sony A7C2. Now, I also did take my FX3, but believe it or not, I didn't use this one time during my trip. I just enjoyed the A7C2 so much that it was the only camera that I used. I'm also currently filming on my second Sony A7C2 as well. Now, there's a lot of things I want to unpack about this camera and why I love it so much. And after 2 months of using it, I can genuinely say it is honestly becoming one of, if not my favorite camera of all time. Now, that's not to say that the FX3 doesn't have a place in its use as well. I will still definitely keep it for all my big commercial shoots and stuff like that, and where I need that higher ISO of 12,800. But for the most part, for my YouTube content, for going out and taking photos, this and that, the A7C2 has honestly been a dream camera. Now, originally I was looking at the Sony ZV-E1 and I was strongly considering it because I thought of it as a mini FX3. What I quickly realized was, one, it overheats, which is a big no-no for me. And while it's got that 12,800 ISO, if I can't use it for long periods of time, what good of use is that for me? Now, another thing, and what made me really keen on the Sony A7C2, was the viewfinder. The viewfinder is a game changer. I don't need the best viewfinder in the world, and honestly, I don't think you guys do too. About 2 million dots you can see in it during the day. It's awesome, guys. Especially when it's really sunny here, it can get overwhelming, and being able to look in it is fantastic, and it's honestly a game changer. Now, I wanted to talk a little bit about my experience going from the A7 IV to this camera, and the best way to explain the Sony A7C2 to someone new who's thinking and or considering this camera is, think of it as the A7 IV on steroids. It's like an enhanced version of the A7 IV, and while it's smaller, don't get confused by it or think that it's actually less. It's the exact same sensor as the A7 IV, but with added features such as the AI, the user alerts, and many more things. The auto framing is a really cool feature on this as well. Now, the only, I guess, again, the one downside, and I kind of mentioned this beforehand, was that you only get one SD card slot, which for me, for the content that I'm filming right now, isn't the major, it's not a major deal. For you guys, it may be a deal breaker, and that's something to really consider. The only thing that I haven't liked about this after using it for this long, and it's not the end of the world, but it is this micro HDMI. I am not a fan of that at all. And the main reason for that for me would be if I wanted to use a monitor. If I'm not using a monitor, I'm not even going to bother with it. I'm never probably going to use it anyway. But the size, it's just so compact. Now, if you look at my FX3, which is right here, comparatively to this, they look kind of similar, but you can definitely feel the weight on this, and the grip is obviously a lot bigger than the A7C2 as well. But while I love this camera has definitely become a favorite of mine. It's like a staple now for my content. I've been doing this little series where I do a photo challenge a day. I've kind of slowed down a little bit on it. I apologize, guys. I will be back on it soon. But I've done about 30 so far, and pretty much the majority have been filmed all on the Sony A7C2. It's just so compact. Like I said, I can take it wherever I need to. It's light and it's easy to carry. So overall, I've had a really, really great experience with the A7C2. Now, another really cool feature that I want to talk about is during my Europe trip, I took about 6 NPF 100 batteries. I thought, look, I'm not going to take all of them. I've got about 15, 16 of them. I don't need that many. I'll take 5 or 6. It should be sweet. One thing I realized, and what I underestimated so much, was this. Let me show you guys. Right up here is the Type-C USB. I don't know if you guys can see that. Yeah, there, right there. I was using this to charge the camera throughout my trip in Europe for the 3 weeks that I was there. Actually 3.5 weeks. And I can tell you honestly, guys, completely genuinely, that I did not change the battery on this camera one time. As I was going around, when I was in the car, I'd be charging it through the Type-C USB, and it quickly charges the camera that I never had to worry about using a different battery or replacing the battery, guys. Kid you not, 3.5 weeks, I did not change the battery on this at all. I just used the Type-C charger and it worked immensely well. Now, I do want to mention that while this feature does exist on the FX3 and the A7 IV, for some reason I found on the A7C2 it charges a lot quicker and it's a lot more efficient, which is really beneficial for someone on the run and gun all the time. And this is something I'm going to use continuously moving forward. Now, another really cool feature that I noticed, I wouldn't say feature, but the battery on this is definitely longer than the FX3 and the A7 IV. Even with the AI features, which I thought would actually maybe take the battery a little bit more, drain it a little bit more, I found I'm getting a lot more time on this than I do on the FX3. For example, if I'm shooting 4K 25p, I normally get about an hour and a half on the FX3 before the battery gets really low. On this, I'm easily getting over 2 hours very comfortably. And I love that you can see the display, everything is really great. Another really cool feature that I love about this that I wish was added on the A7 IV and on the FX3 is these really cool sidebars. Let me show you. As you can see here, you've got the sidebars, which I absolutely love. I love that the display is now at the bottom rather than over the screen before, which is so useful now, guys. I absolutely love this feature. It's out of the way, it doesn't interfere with the shot, you can actually see it properly. And of course, how can I not forget the user LUTs on this are incredible, guys. Again, another feature I wish they added on the A7 IV and some of the other cameras, but hey, you can't get everything, especially at least the A7S3, which in my opinion should have definitely had it. My final thoughts, I guess, with this camera is it's an honestly incredible camera and it's a steal for the price that it is. I think it's actually cheaper than the A7 IV, and in my opinion, I definitely love this camera a lot more. Same sensor, you still get that beautiful image quality. You'll see the photos as I'm showing you guys. Beautiful, beautiful camera. And the funny thing about this camera and the sensor is the image quality from this, the A7 IV and the A7 III are exactly the same, guys. So if you guys are primarily photographers and you just do stills, getting the A7 III or the A7 IV, if this is not available or you just don't have enough, you honestly aren't losing much. Where this is going to change the game for you and make a big difference is the fact that it has the AI features for the autofocus for video, which shoots 10-bit 422 in 4K. So you got the 25p, and then obviously in 50 and 60p, this is where it's going to have a bit of a crop, which I'm not a big fan of. 1x6 crop, it's to be cropped. But there's got to be something that you're going to have to give it. But considering the size and everything like that, this camera, honestly for me, has been the near perfect camera. Of course, I'm excited to see how the A7 V is going to be when it does come out, but I think I'll definitely have one of these in my kit because I want something small and portable when I'm on the go doing YouTube content or short form content. This is such a great camera. As you can see as well, I've upgraded all my lenses to the Mark II for all the GMs, so they're lighter, sharper, and just overall smaller, which is really important for me now, as I want to be as light as possible when I'm traveling, doing long shoots. It's just more efficient and it works better for me while keeping the same good quality, guys. So that's my 2-month review of this camera. Absolutely incredible, guys. Nothing has really let me down with this. It's never overheated on me. It's gotten warm, but never overheated. I've used it for long periods of time. I absolutely love this camera. As I said, I'm shooting on it right now, so it has been an honest treat, guys. And if you're considering it and in the market, this is definitely a great camera. There are some alternatives like the A6700. I mentioned that in the last video that I did when I introduced these cameras. For me, the biggest thing was the fact that this is full frame. It's an amazing hybrid camera. I think it's probably one of the best hybrid cameras for the price range. Obviously, if you have more money and you're willing to spend more, looking at something like the A7C2 is probably a great option. But for me, this reminds me of an enhanced A7 IV, similar to the A7C2 and the A1, where the real main features were the fact that they added AI features and other things while keeping the same sensor from the original A1. Like this with the A7 IV, it has those enhanced features, which are a big deal for me, especially as a solo shooter, so I really do appreciate it. So spending that little bit more, if it did come to that, I would be happy to, because they were really important for me. But anyway guys, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like. It really does support the channel. And as always, I will see you guys on the next one. Stay safe and be well.